You take chances. You vote in jokers, cranks, weak men, worse, charlatans, with some gift of the gab. You run a very serious risk of losing everything you have.
Across many of the world's most developed countries, a troubling trend has emerged. A marked decline in the quality, stability, and trustworthiness of political leadership. In just the past decade, countries like the United Kingdom have cycled through numerous leaders, 6 prime ministers in 8 years. Japan's political landscape has shifted with the long-dominant Liberal Democratic Party losing its influence, and French President Emmanuel Macron's approval ratings have fallen to all-time lows. The question looms, why are today's leaders failing to inspire confidence, stability, and progress? Where have all the truly impactful leaders gone? The changing nature of leadership challenges. In the past, leaders like Winston Churchill, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and even John F. Kennedy emerged during defining historical moments, world wars, economic depressions, and intense ideological conflicts. They took on challenges that required decisive actions, clear values, and strong leadership. However, the current political climate is vastly different. Today's societies are marked by relative stability and prosperity. Yet this comfort seems to have paradoxically contributed to a decline in leadership quality. It's worth examining why modern leaders, in a time when challenges require equally strong decisions, struggle to gain respect, impact, and long-term support.
If you read the present media, you say that the world is bereft of great leaders. There was no Winston Churchill or Roosevelt. In my lifetime, they were great men. I lived my most impressionable years when they made massive decisions that decided the shape of the post-war world. Do you have such people today? But do you need such people today?
A detour from public service. One of the factors contributing to this leadership decline is the fixation on wealth and personal gain. In previous generations, public service was seen as a noble calling, but today, young, talented individuals are often captivated by the lucrative rewards of the private sector. Rather than pursuing political careers where leaders face intense scrutiny and limited financial rewards, they turn toward high-paying roles in finance, technology, or entrepreneurship. Public service, for many, no longer holds the appeal it once did. This shift has led to a talent drain in politics, where those left to fill leadership roles may not always have the dedication or capabilities needed to address complex societal issues.
I take this present generation, the preoccupation with wealth. They open Fortune 500. All the billionaires, they open Forbes. So many multi-billionaires. So many dot-com chaps have made billions out of nothing. They're just completely swept away by all this. So we've got young administrative officers who've served 6-7 years. Can I take no pay leave? Whilst the dot-com companies are hot, I want to try. The motivations are different. If I were now 20 years old, I might be joining the dot-com venture capitalists, and I'll probably make $1 million or $2 million.
Talent flowing to corporate giants. In countries like the United States, highly capable individuals frequently choose the private sector over public service. With corporate leaders managing massive budgets and making decisions that impact millions, roles in companies like Amazon, Apple, and Tesla often offers more influence, and certainly more compensation, than government positions. When CEOs are managing enterprises with revenues comparable to small countries' GDPs, the allure of business can far outweigh the appeals of government work. Talented leaders gravitate toward corporate boards, where the rewards and lifestyle are more attractive than the pressures and criticisms that come with public roles. As a result, politics often becomes a field for less experienced or less qualified individuals. Hear this from Lee Kuan Yew himself.
Our ablest and our best into politics. It doesn't happen in many countries. In America, the ablest and the best become heads of corporations. Each one a big empire. If you run General Motors or IBM, your turnover is about 50 times Singapore's GNP, and you can afford your private jet, homes, holidays everywhere. The result is elected office is sought after mostly by those with some extraordinary egotistical urge. The ones who don't like to be seen kissing babies, pumping hands, running all around the place, making endless speeches, just stay in corporate life and do well.
Money and morality in politics. One major difference between public and private sector leadership is compensation. Politicians are generally paid far less than corporate leaders, which can lead to a number of issues. Underpaid politicians may be more vulnerable to alternative forms of income, such as high-paying speaking engagements, book deals, lobbying and consulting positions, and patronage, and perks that create conflicts of interest. Some nations have attempted to solve this issue in unique ways. Singapore, for instance, offers some of the highest salaries for politicians worldwide, a strategy intended to attract highly competent leaders and discourage corruption. This model has seen considerable success in maintaining clean governance and a robust economy. Still, the issue of compensation remains problematic in many countries, where lower pay can mean that only those with external financial resources can afford to serve, often skewing political representation toward the wealthy and elite. The media revolution and leadership. The landscape of political leadership has been fundamentally reshaped by the modern media. Today's leaders are under constant scrutiny, not just from traditional news sources, but from an unrelenting stream of social media content. Media has turned political leadership into a spectacle, where image often outweighs substance. Politicians are now packaged like products, branded by teams of media professionals who focus on making them appear relatable and popular, rather than focusing on their actual leadership skills. This transformation is largely due to the need to appeal to the widest audience possible, often reducing complex ideas to catchy slogans or sound bites. The rise of spin doctors and media consultants has made winning elections more about marketing savvy than about proving the capacity to govern effectively. The Internet age, a double-edged sword. The Internet and social media have further complicated the role of a leader. With platforms like Twitter and Instagram, leaders face unprecedented levels of public visibility and criticism. Social media amplifies diverse voices and opinions, making it difficult to build consensus, provides immediate feedback loops that can quickly erode credibility if a leader makes a misstep, competes for the public's attention, often prioritizing drama over substance, and turns minor mistakes into potentially career-ending crises. For many leaders, the universal nature of social media adds another layer of pressure. They must navigate the dual challenges of making impactful, long-term decisions while managing the immediate fallout of public reactions. Society's changing expectations. Modern societies are generally more prosperous and safer than in previous generations, which has led to a shift in expectations. Today's populations often expect prosperity and stability as rights rather than privileges, and this shift has altered the leadership dynamic. Leaders of past generations had to earn the trust and loyalty of citizens who believed they were fighting for their survival. People accepted sacrifices and hard work because they felt they were investing in their future and in the survival of their society. Leaders could ask for commitment and even sacrifice, with the understanding that the stakes were high and the goals worthwhile. In contrast, today's leaders operate in a context where the public expects comfort and ease. As a result, leaders are more frequently required to seek public approval before implementing significant changes. Citizens often demand policies that enhance their comfort without considering the longer-term costs. Politicians must cater to these expectations, frequently promoting an easier lifestyle rather than asking for sacrifices or support for difficult but necessary policies. Short-term thinking over long-term vision. Modern governments face immense pressure to prioritize short-term popularity over long-term stability. This mindset manifests in a variety of ways that compromise effective leadership. Politicians increasingly promise extensive benefits without adequate funding, relying on debt to meet their commitments without directly raising taxes. This approach is attractive in the short term, but places an unsustainable burden on future generations. Many governments shy away from necessary reforms if they risk being unpopular, opting instead to maintain the status quo for fear of voter backlash. As a result, long-term challenges remain unresolved, adding to a sense of instability and crisis in leadership. Diminishing respect for leaders. In many democracies, respect for authority has waned, making it harder for leaders to command support and implement challenging policies. Politicians are often mimicked in the media and online, undermining their credibility. This erosion of authority complicates the leader's ability to enforce essential but difficult decisions, undermines the government's capacity to plan for the long term, and makes it challenging to inspire the public to make sacrifices for collective progress. Why voters matter. A crucial yet often overlooked element of strong leadership is the responsibility of the population itself. Effective leadership is only possible if the electorate is engaged, informed, and willing to prioritize substance over superficial qualities. Good leaders depend on voters who are educated about complex issues, are willing to support leaders who make tough but necessary decisions, recognize the long-term impacts of policies even if they require sacrifice, and are cautious of charisma and prioritize capable candidates. Singapore's success story highlights the importance of an engaged and responsible population. Under the leadership of figures like Lee Kuan Yew, Singapore developed from a struggling post-colonial city-state into a prosperous and well-managed nation. However, this success was not solely the result of strong leadership. The people of Singapore were willing to support a government that often made difficult and unpopular choices for the long-term benefit of the country. This model suggests that good leadership and a supportive population are interdependent. The path forward. The decline of effective leadership across developed nations isn't an inevitable trend. It's a problem that can be addressed if societies are willing to make certain changes. Reversing this decline will require rethinking societal priorities, the qualities we value in leaders, and how citizens engage with their governments. Ultimately, the responsibility of leadership quality falls on both leaders and the people they serve. The future of leadership depends not just on those who seek to lead, but on those who choose to follow. With global challenges like climate change, economic volatility, and social inequality on the horizon, the need for strong, principled, and visionary leaders is greater than ever. As we look toward the future, we must ask ourselves, what kind of leaders do we want, and what are we willing to do to support them? The answer to this question will shape the next era of leadership for generations to come. What type of leader do you guys respect? Are there any example of those type of leaders today? Please leave your comment below. We would love to hear from you.
Thank you for making it this far. If you like this video, you might want to share it with a like-minded friend. Thank you, and as always, stay blessed.